Hello, everybody. We're on Daf Chof Tes Samud Beis by the Mishna, 29b by the Mishna in Maseches Gittin, the Bavli. Maybe get from Dinas Yam v'cholam. Somebody brings a get from Dinas Yam and he's sick, and he gets sick. So what do? You have to give it to the woman. You can't make another shliach because you have to have shliach has to say b'fanai nichtav b'fanai nechtav, and he's sick. He's not going to be able to make it to the woman. So what does he do? He makes a shliach in Bezdin. So if there's a local Bezdin he's able to go to, but he can't go all the way to the wife. So he goes to Bezdin, he makes a shliach, appoints a shliach in Bezdin, Mishalcha, and he sends him to send the get, to bring the get to the wife. And he says in front of the Bezdin, the second shliach doesn't have to say because it wasn't in front of him signed and sealed. Rather, all he says is, I'm a shliach bezdin. And because he says I'm a shliach bezdin, that's enough to make it kosher. Gemara says like this: the Rabbanan told Avimi, who was the son of Rababo, shliach de shliach, mash v'shliach aloi. Shliach of a shliach. Can he make a second shliach or not? Can he make a third shliach or not? The shliach of the second shliach who's saying I'm a shliach bezdin, is he able to make a third shliach? He told them this is not a question. The fact that it says in the Mishnah, "Ein shliach acharon" has to say, the shliach acharon doesn't have to say b'fanei nechtam. L'chlal de majri shliach. This teaches us that he's able to make a shliach. Doesn't say shliach hasheni. Interesting. If we would say shliach hasheni, the second shliach, then we would have a question. Because it says acharon, it means you could learn from here that he's able to make another one. The question is, does he have to make the third shliach in Bezdin or not? And they told him it's nishkin kasha. It's not a question. The fact that it says that the person says, I'm a shliach Bezdin, and the fact that he says, I'm a shliach Bezdin, so it's a rayo that he's not going to have to say it. No, Rakert. That from the fact that he says I'm a shliach bezdin, he's going to have to appoint the next shliach also in bezdin, only through bezdin. Because he has to say it himself, he's also have to appoint the others to do the same thing.
Not in the Mishna. How many lines down are we?
We are, we're up to, where was it? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines from the Gemara. It's about 16 lines on the top, or says 15 lines on the top. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Masni Achi. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak had a different way of learning this discussion. Ask from Rababo, shliach the shliach, kimash v'shliach bebezin or shalei bezin. The shliach of the shliach, when he's making a third shliach, does he do it in bezin or not in bezin? Amar lahu v'tiboy lahu kimash v'shliach ba'alma. Should ask, Bechlal is able to make a shliach. Amar lei hodla kam b'aylan tatanin shliach achan bechlal the shliach mash shliach. And the fact that he uses the wording of shliach acharon, it's a proof that he could make another shliach. Kam b'aylan bebezin shalei bezin. The shaila is, does it have to be in bezin or not in bezin? Amar lahu hanam lei tiboy lahu. He said this also is not a question. From the fact that it says that he says I'm a shliach bezdin, it's a proof that he's going to have to make it in bezdin. The next shliach is also going to have to be in bezdin. Omer Rabbo shliach be'eretz Yisrael is a kama shluchim. You don't need bezdin in Eretz Yisrael because there's no b'fanei nichtav b'fanei nechtam, so there's no limitations. You can just make one shliach, will make another, and so on. Omer Ravashi Meisarishain Botlu Kulon. Ravashi says, however, if the first shliach passes away, then all the other ones are bottled because they're all coming mikoichai from the koyach of the first shliach. Omer Mar Ravashi, a very interesting lashon. Hodab de katnusi. This that my father said. This did that if the first shliach passes away, it's all bottled. He said it when he was cotton. Ilu meis bal midim mashoshi isbu. If the husband would have died, would there be anything in them? Kula mikuch man kosim, mikuch the bal kosim. They're all coming from the husband. He said the bal is neu l'chulu. If the husband's around, they're all around. They said the bal is neu l'chulu. If the husband's not around, they're not around. In other words, it's not dependent on any individual shliach. Right? It's logical what Rav Ashi is saying, but he says he's arguing and he says no. Depends on the husband. Doesn't depend on the shluchim. Tosus Rid says the halacha is like this, the din of Mar Bar Rav Ashi. Hahud Gavra, there was a certain person, the Shodolo Gita Ledvisu, he sent a get to his wife. Omer Shliach Lo Yadanalo. Shliach says, I don't know who she is, so how am I going to be able to find her? Omer Lei Zil Yavil Aber Bar Minyoimi Diu Yodala. Go and give the get to Abba Bar Minyoimi, who knows her, and he'll go and he'll give it to her. That way you'll be okay. You just have to get it to Abba Bar Minyoimi. Also, when he couldn't find it, instead he found Rabba Bo, Rechnina Bar Papa, and Rav Yitzchak Nafo with Rav Safra sitting by them. They told him, Sir, Milach Kamedidon, say, give over your words to us. Tell us the words of your shlichus to us. And give us the get. All you're going to have to say is, and we'll give it to him. He'll be the shlich bezin, because they were a bezin. We'll give it to him, and he'll give it to her. And with Rav Safra, Safra told the three Rabbanim, Rabba Bo, Rechnina Bar Papa, and Rav Yitzchak Nafcho, this shliach was not made to divorce her. He was only a shliach to give it to Abba Bar Minyoim. Therefore, you cannot give it to someone else. Can't give the get to someone else. If it was a shliach legadishin, he would be able to give it to someone else. But because he's not a shliach legadishin, he shouldn't be able to. He's only a shliach to give it to Abba Bar Minyoim. So the Gemara says, "Ichsufu." They became embarrassed. They thought it was okay, and just because of his one question, Rav Safra's one question, he knocked them all. He knocked them down. He knocked down their psak. Rava says, "Kapchinu Rav Safra letlosa rabbanan smuchei." Kapchinu, he cut off their legs. They didn't find legs to stand for their words. Ravashi my kapchinu. Rashi disagreed. He said, "What was the kapchino? How did he cut it? How did he cut it down? It's not a tshuva to them." Did the Baal say that only Abba Bar Minyoim should divorce her, not you? If he had known who the wife was, Shlich would have divorced her. Did he say Abba Minyoim, not you? No, it was just a technical reason that he had to give it to Abba Bar Minyoim because he didn't recognize the wife. So he was a Shlich Legerish. So he could have given it to the best. Some people say even Rava said there was a tos. It was a mistake that they were embarrassed. What's a mistake? Did he say Abba Minyoim and not you? He didn't say that. Just because he couldn't recognize him. So therefore, yeah. sorry, Rashi explains it differently than what I said. And this, according to the second interpretation, Rav Ashi is arguing with Rava, also arguing with Rava. So Rava says, "Kapchinu Rav Safra closer Rabban and Smuche betos." It was a mistake. Rav Ashi, no. Rashi says, "My tusa." What was a mistake? There was no mistake. My Kormele. What did the Baal tell him? So not as a question, as a statement, says Rashi. He says, that's Rashi's opinion. Rashi says that Rav Ashi, no matter what, is arguing. In other words, he's saying that it was a kipuach. Tosfos says, however, that no. Also here, Rav Ashi is saying what the mistake was. Did he say? So there's two ways of reading the last part of the Gemara. But like ato, I don't know why Rashi says ato. Okay, so we have another story. Now, who gavra? We're in the wide lines, 10 lines in the bottom. The line starts Ahu gavra. Ahu gavra the shadul agitul l'dviso. There is a gavra. There's a person who sent to get to his wife. Omalu l'shliach l'teis v'nialat tlosin yamin. Don't give it to her until 30 days. The problem was, isnis begoit losin yoimin. He had a certain oinus before the 30 days passed. Also, the commander Rava, he went in front of Rava to ask him what to do. Amar Rava, cholo time of my mishum donas hanami onusu. So Rava said that when a person is ill, he's allowed to make a shliach. What's the reason? Because there's an oinus. Here also, you should be allowed to give it before the 30 days because you have an oinus. Omerlei Miser Miloch Kame Didon, give over your shlichus to us, the bezin. The labasan tlosin yom mashmin shliach v'yav le'niela. After 30 days, we're going to make a shliach to give it to her. Omerlei Rabban L'Rava, the Chacham told the Rav, "Shliach shaleinitin legedishnu." It's a shliach that's not given over legedish. He didn't want her to be divorced before 30 days, so how could he give over the shlichus to someone else? Mela, if he was a shliach legedishin. So Mikoach Habal calls, he's coming from the Koach Habal, so he's able to make another shliach. But in a case where it's a specific shlichus to give over the get only after 30 days, he can't give it over to someone else before the 30 days. After the 30 days, he'll be able to give it over to someone else, but not now. Very interesting. Omer Lahu, he told them, given the Lavos plus because he's allowed to give it after 30 days. Even before the 30 days, he's also considered shliach legerishin. So this is a different case. Why are we not worried? That maybe he was mafias, maybe he changed his mind. How could he b'chalal give such a get over? Because he gave a time limit that you can't give it before so and such a time. Maybe we should be worried about pius. It says in the Mishna that if a person says, he tells his wife, the get will be from now if I don't come back within 12 months. And he died within 12 months, it's a get because he didn't come back. In such a case. But we're wondering, why are we not worried? Because there was so much time that he had made up with his wife. She's believed to say that it never came. Yeah, so he was embarrassed because it's a good question. In other words, it's only if he said such a thing, but if he didn't say such a thing, if he didn't say nemenes alai, loimer shalei basi, so he's not going to be able to believe this to be ma'ara to say that we were biased. It's only if he says milchatchila nemenes alai, but if it doesn't say milchatchila nemenes alai, we should be worried about pius. So why are we not worried about pius in such a case where he gave 30 days for the get to be given over? Maybe there's pius. It's a strong question. So
What's pius?
Maybe he appeased her. Maybe he appeased the wife. Maybe the get is not a valid get b'chalal because he said not to give it right away. So it's an interesting question. So the Gemara says he was embarrassed. In the end, they found out that she was in Arusa. So Rava now had the support for his words. He said, this that we're embarrassed for Pios is only if she was married. If they're going to say such a thing when she's married, will they say such a thing if she's engaged? No. Rava said, this for sure is our question. When Bezin appoints the shliach, the shliach came from Dinas Yam. So this is going back to the Mishna. The Mishnah, we said that if a shliach is feeling ill and he came from Dinas Yam, so he's not going to be able to fulfill the shlichus by saying b'fana nichtam b'fana nachtam. He has to go in front of Bezin. He says b'fana nichtam b'fana nachtam to Bezin, and Bezin will appoint another shliach. So the question is, we're on the next page now in Daf Lamed Abed Aleph. Ki mashvu Bezin shliach b'fana v'shalei b'fana. When Bezin will make a shliach, the second shliach will be in front of the first shliach or not? Then he answered his question, whether in front of him, whether not in front of him. And they also sent from Eretz Yisrael to say whether in front of him or not in front of him. You could make the second shliach. Gemara says, there was a person who said, if I don't come from now until 30 days, it will be a get. Also, ufaske mavra. He was coming, but there was a crossing of water that he wasn't able to pass, and it was 30 days was almost up. This is the famous Gemara. He said, see, I'm coming, and he was across the river. It's not considered coming. He didn't come until he comes. You don't come until you come. And it doesn't help to say oinus. You don't say oinus. You made it tonight. You don't say oinus. Says Rashi, even according to the opinions that we do hold of oinus, this case is not considered oinus because it's an oinus to shchicha, and he should have included it in his condition. Something that's common. Should have included in his condition. Another story, if I don't appease her from now until 30 days, will be a get. Also, piece of he tried to appease her, but she didn't accept his words. He brought friends, he hired counselors, he did whatever he could, and she was not being appeased. Did he give her an enormous amount of gold? So it's not considered pious. Even if he doesn't have the money, it doesn't matter. He made it tonight, can't fulfill it tonight, it's too bad, according to this opinion. So Tosfos asks, what if he does give her this enormous amount of gold? He said, then he would have fulfilled his condition. If he gave her such an enormous amount of gold, even if she's not appeased, then we would say, taka, it's not a get. But in a case where he didn't do it, even if he doesn't have it, it's not considered a piece. Does he have to give her a tarka of the dinner? He appeased her, and she wasn't appeased. In other words, it's not his problem. He did his part. It's not a get. The second, the Yigad Amri is the opinion that holds if Yeshayin is Bedinin. And Hokamad Amri is beginning. There's no such thing as an Einus in Gittin. Sorry, the Gittin. We did from okay, I guess we'll do a little bit of Yerushalmi. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we're up to in the Yerushalmi Halacha. Halacha Dalet.
Any edgy show.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm ready. Okay, everybody sees it? Halacha Daled. Perk Shlishi Halacha Daled.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on Daf Tezvav in my Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi says like this. There's three things that Rabbi Elazar ben Parta told the Chacham B'Kimbo Zvarav, and they upheld his words. If you have a city that was surrounded by a siege, if you have a ship that it was sinking, and if you have someone who's going to be judged, it's still kayim. But if it was conquered by the siege, it was lost at sea. In other words, it sunk. Literally was sunk. He's being brought out to be killed. We've been given the stringencies of the husband being alive and dead. In other words, it's not allowed to teach room. The Bas Kohen is not allowed to teach Truma because we assume her husband's still alive. The Bas Yisrael, the Kohen, is not allowed to teach Truma because we assume her husband is dead. It's interesting, in the Yerushalmi it has a little bit of, it says the gears of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. In the Mishna we said Rabbi Elazar ben Parto. Okay, so the Mishnah asks, Shalmi asks, "Is a charkoim? What's a charkoim?" Rabbi b'shem Reb Chia Barashi kigun zugin v'shal shalias v'klovim v'avozim v'tarnagun v'startias hamakif masir. For example, if you have dugin, he changes the girsa to dugin. So the Korban Eidah explains they put chains, special chains and bells or dogs and chickens so that they'll know if anybody comes out of it. Vistartius, and you have soldiers surrounding this city. So that's considered a case where we assume that they're gonna be mitame all the kehanis. We're talking about in order for them to be mitame the kehanis. That's how he explains it here. Not that they're going to kill everybody. We're talking about the woman if they're going to defile all the women. Actually, there's a there's a story that one time there was one summa that escaped. They had a siege, but there was one blind person that escaped. So they were mitar all the women they said are tar because that one blind person escaped. Because if he escaped, the other woman could have escaped. If there was a certain spot where they were able to get out, that saves all the women. If there was a hiding place that one woman could hide in, so it's a shayla. If a hiding place is good, it could save all the women. If it's Oysa Malchus, they're Poisel the Kahunes. Because why? Because it's the same kingdom, so they're not worried, they're not frightened of another enemy. But if it's another country that came, they're considered like listim, and we don't Poisel all the women. We don't say they defiled all the women because they're running away, they're just trying to plunder the money. Of course, they defile some women, but not all. We're not going to say they defile all the women. It's crazy the reality that they lived in those times. The city would be sieged. You assumed all the women were defiled. That's terrible. They added 3 more cases about Chumri Chaim and Mesim, about Eshesish, about Truma, and so on. Gemara says like this: if a wild animal, wild beast, drags somebody away, if a river washed away, if a mapelis fell, like we said in the end of the mission. Next mission, halacha. Hey, maybe you get married to if you're sick, you bring a get from Eretz Yisrael. You don't have the issue of and you get sick, so then you send it with somebody else. If it's the Baal told the shliach, take an object when you give the get. Take an object Don't send it with someone else. If he doesn't want his object to be in another shliach's hands, it has to be that shlich. Maybe get better to says it's only because he was sick. Only because he was onus can you make another shlich. But if there's no onus, you can't make another shlich. So the Gemara says, this isn't this an argument with Rabbi Yochanan? There's two ways of explaining it. According he changes the gears of the carbonate. He says, isn't this the question? According to Rabbi Yochanan, the chamber that gives it the second chamber, the chamber Hasheni is time. Chamber Shemosa, the chamber Rishon Chayiv Shein Ritzayin Habaylim. According to the carbonate, he doesn't change the gears, and he says if one chamber gives it to a different chamber, the chamber Harishon is chayiv because he doesn't want it. So it's very interesting. There's two different gersoits. Rabbi says in the name Rechian because he said it tnai. Maybe it's considered like a tnai. It's not the same as by a shomer. Maybe because he made a condition. Here it's different than the case of the Shem, because the Shem there's no condition. Here he specifically gave a condition. What's enough? If we say it's because of a condition, or if we say in general it's because you don't want your pikotin to be in the hands of somebody else. If the Baal took the object first, if you can say it's a Tanai Gittin, so there's a problem here too. However, if you're going to say the Baal himself took it, there's no problem whatsoever. After Kedushin came, same din would apply to Kedushin. Ma ben Gittin, ma ben Kedushin. B'yad kolod most of the Gadish, b'yad kolod most of the Kav. You can Gadish or Baal Korcho. By Kedushin, it depends on. By Kedushin, however, you cannot make another shliach. Only by Gittin can you make another shliach. Yeah, one shliach cannot make another shliach. By Gittin, because he can do a Baal Korcha, one shliach can make another shliach. Because by Kedushin, however, it has to be Bertoina. Maybe he specifically wanted the first shliach because she's the one who's able, because she's the one he's the one who's going to be able to convince her. That's what the Pnei Moshe explains it. So he can't do it with another shliach. Halacha Vav says the Mishna maybe getting this yam b'cholam. Someone who brings a get from overseas and he gets sick. He makes a bezdin, he tells the bezdin who was written and signed in front of me. The shlich ha'achron, however, doesn't say that. Rather, he says that I'm a shlich bezdin. So the Yerushalmi says maybe getting this yam b'cholam. When it says he has to come to Eretz Yisrael, shouldn't try to say that maybe you don't need to say anything if he came to Eretz Yisrael. No, he has stuff to say before the nichtov. And the second shlich is still going to have to say shlich bezdinani, even though you're in Eretz Yisrael. You might think it would be easier if it's in Eretz Yisrael. No, kamash malan they're not. Chola shliach. If the shlich gets sick, there was a story with V'sholach and Rabchia, the Rabbi Yasser, the Rabimi. There was a story, and they sent to Rabchia, Rabbi Yasser, and Rabimi, and they said, they passed it, that if the Shliach Hasheni gets sick, we're talking about the Shliach Hasheni gets sick, he doesn't have to say B'van Nichta, B'van Nichta. So the Gemara asks, do you have to give over the whole shlichus? So the carbonated, the way he explains it is if you say he gives over the whole shlichus, the shliach rishon gives over the whole shliach. So then even if the first shliach dies, the second shliach can take over. He has the whole shlichus. if the first shliach gives over the whole shlichus, and the Pnei Moshe has a different interpretation. He says, let's say the Baal gave him a few things. First of all, he said to give the get, but he's mentioned a bunch of other things. Does he have to give over the whole shlichus? Ma'isi did Abba ben Barkana min Hadol. He brings a raya from what it says. It says Shlech Bezenani. Doesn't have to say anything more. He doesn't have to do any more. All he has to do is say Shlech Bezenani. It's a raya. He doesn't have to do the whole shlichus. Okay, so we'll stick with the Pnei Moshe's pshat. Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Chozer be'Rabban Barkana min Hadol. Ein Shlech Achon Tzashem Panich Panich V'Leimer Shlech Bezenani. It says he doesn't have to say b'fanich lefanei nechtam. But if he gave all the shlichuyos, he would have to do everything else. So he was chayzer from his first deal. First thing was medayik is that he doesn't have to say. All he has to say is shlech bezenani. No, he's medayik. He doesn't have to say b'fanich lefanei nechtam. Maybe he does have to do the rest of the shlichus. Okay, we are. If there was other shlichus, we're up to halacha zayin.
Zion?
In the Yerushalmi.